A very good morning to one and all. Welcome to the new video session of Nerdy Scientists. I thank you all for watching our recent videos on cancer biology and COVID 19 and various other topics which we discussed. And now we are coming to a very special and important topic related to COVID 19, which is actually not yet completely answered, completely justified. Just look into this topic. So, this topic title is How do children spread coronavirus? The science still isn't actually very much clear, and there are a lot of questions which need to be answered. Let's look over to these questions and analyze it, how far we could actually explain things related to children and its connection with the COVID 19 spread and infection. So, schools reopen, children will start coming up, they will be going to the schools, and what are the precautions what we could actually take? There will be normal precautions after COVID 19, the post COVID 19 attack. There will be a lot of precautions which needs to be taken. But how is the actual mechanism of spread is happening through children is not yet answered, and we are going to deal with few questions. Let's see how far we could actually analyze things on this point of concern. So, scientists are still trying to understand what is the deal is with the kids and COVID 19, as the question says. So, the role of children in spreading the coronavirus has been a key question since the early days of pandemic. There have been a lot of speculations going on, so we are not yet with a complete clarity on what kind of mechanism of spread, what can be the reason why there is lot of uh, arguments going on why there is very less infected age group is the children's age group. Why the infants or the children are not getting much infected? Are they going to be as the carriers in this COVID-19 infection? We need to look on to. So now, as some countries allow schools to begin reopening after weeks in lockdown, scientists are racing to figure this out. They have to be very fast, because as children will come out without proper precautions, because without knowing what is actually happening to them, we can't actually release the children. So children represent a small fraction of confirmed COVID-19 cases according to the reports. It is actually rated that less than 2% of the reported infections in China, Italy, United States, all other countries including India, have been people under 18 years old. So 2% of reported infection is under 18 of the reported infection cases of COVID-19. So you could see how the statistics are actually explaining things to us. Why is it completely less targeted? Are they less infected, or actually they are actually being considered as the carriers? That's what is the big question. So, but researchers are divided on whether children are less likely than adults to get infected and to spread the virus. So some say that a growing body of evidence suggests children are at very low risk. So they are not responsible for the majority of transmission, and the data support opening schools. That's what Alasdair Munro, a pediatric infectious diseases researcher at University Hospital Southampton, UK, has actually suggested and stated. According to his opinion, he says that they are at very low risk, and they cannot actually be the responsible for the major transmission, according to the data supporting opening schools. So he's supporting opening of schools. So children in Germany and Denmark have already returned to school. They already started going to school, and students in some areas of Australia and France are set to go back gradually over the coming weeks. So in the coming weeks of May, the Australia and France government has decided to actually start the schools. So already there have been a lot of problems related to the reopening and the education point of view. There's a lot of situations have been like the syllabus has not yet completed, and the students have actually got promoted without exams. So there was a lot of speculation. So it's need that it's compulsion that children actually get some deviation and just start working in their own areas. So other scientists argue against a rushed return to the classrooms. They say that the incidence of infection in children is lower than in adults, partly because they have not been exposed to virus as much, especially with many schools closed. and children are not getting tested as often as adults because they tend to have mild or no symptoms at all. So there are mild symptoms for the students, the children. That doesn't mean that they are not actually being tested. The adults are being tested at a long rate. The rate of testing going on at present to the adults is too much when compared to the children. That's the reason why some of researchers are actually saying that we are not getting the reports or the results what actually are proving the children are not getting at all infected, because there are very few children who are getting tested, and out of those few, only very few of them are actually getting infected or getting positive to coronavirus. So that is what is the major problem. Children are not yet tested. Without being tested, we cannot actually come to a conclusion that children are not responsible for spreading coronavirus, or children are not actually getting infected in a greater rate because of COVID-19 infection. So there is a lot of analysis which is actually needed, and I do not see any strong biological or epidemiological reason to believe that reasons don't get as infected, children don't get infected. So this is what I support. I support the statement. The Gary Wong, who is a researcher in pediatric respiratory medicine at the Chinese University at Hong Kong, is actually saying this, that there are no reasons, there's no exact proof that the COVID-19 is not infecting children. It's actually infecting every age group, but the testing is not going on so prevalently to the children. They are not being targeted to children. That's the reason why we don't actually get the reports suggesting that COVID-19 is not infecting children. So we have to go forward, do pool testing, rapid testing on children also, on different age groups, so that we can actually get a lot of data, and through that data we can actually confirm whether the children are getting infected or not. There is no biological reason, there is no epidemiological reason, so we can't actually start schools until we do this testing in a rapid way. That is what is my analysis according to this. So as long as there is community transmission in the adult population, reopening of schools will likely facilitate transmission, as respiratory viruses are known to circulate in schools and daycares. Generally, the respiratory diseases which are being caused generally get transmitted to the children or to the teachers, whatever the school staff is. So there's a lot of problems. Not only this coronavirus, but any respiratory disorder can actually be transmitted through air droplets. So it's very much important that we actually come to a conclusion initially, whether the children are at lower risk or not. We have to confirm this by actually analyzing a lot of surveys or doing a lot of testing on children, and then if we can come into a conclusion that they are at very low risk, there is no problem because they are not getting infected by the COVID-19 infection, then we can take a step by saying that we can actually reopen schools, and we can start actually conducting exams, the classes and the web, the seminars and all, by actually taking proper precautions, proper measurements accordingly to the COVID-19 spread, and then we can actually go forward with our normal life in schools. So schools and colleges, colleges also included. So this is what is needed. This is what is actually needed. This is how systematically things have to go on. But unfortunately, many countries have actually decided that they are actually going for schools in the next few weeks. That is actually very unfortunate, because they have to take some measurements which are actually very much important at this point of time and essential at this point of time, because we need to create awareness about this kind of knowledge, because parents don't know what is exactly happening. We as scientists have to take responsibility by actually making them understand how dangerous this is for children also, because we are not yet into a conclusion. So we have to spread this concept to everyone. That is what is the major aim of this video. So if children are driving the spread of the virus, infections will probably spike in the next few weeks in countries where children have already returned to schools. So scientists are actually saying that this the decision of the various governments of various countries actually will lead to starting of schools, and then if you could actually see a spike in the coronavirus infection spread, then definitely we could actually say it automatically will prove that children are also getting infected. So, but settling the debate will require large, high quality population studies, some of which are already underway, that include tests for the presence of antibodies in the blood as a marker of previous infection. So, the presence of antibodies in the blood as a marker is very, very important for the previous infection. We can actually detect it very easily in the children. So, this high quality population studies and pool testing is very, very important at this point of time, especially most particularly if you want to start the schooling early, then you have to go forward and do this rapid testing. That is what is very much important. So, other scientists are studying children's immune response to find out why they have milder symptoms than adults when infected, and whether that offers clues to potential therapies. We don't know. So, what is making them more resistant to actually go against COVID-19? What is there in their body which is actually resisting things for children? And that is what is the major debate going on between the scientists. So, a study, a very interesting study, I read it on 27th April in the Lancet Infectious Diseases, which was first posted as a preprint in early March, analyzed households with confirmed COVID-19 cases in Shenzhen, China. It found that children younger than 10 were just as likely as adults to get infected, but less likely to have severe symptoms. So, this study was actually explained through a survey, and was a lot of young children there, and they found that there were around 10 young children who actually got infected, but there were very, very mild symptoms for the COVID-19 infection, and there were very, very mild symptoms. There were no severe symptoms through which the COVID-19 attack happened. And so the preprint really scared everybody, says Munro, because it suggested the children could silently spread infection because they're actually having mild symptoms and they're not getting actually infected so severely, so the reports will not suggest they're positive, most probably. So we leave children into society and then the spread will happen. You can't actually automatically stop it. We can't actually stop it. So, but other studies, including some of them from South Korea, Italy and Iceland, where testing was more widespread, have observed lower infection rates among children. Some studies from China also supported the suggestion that the children are less susceptible to infection. So, one published in Science on 29th April analyzed data from Hunan, where the contacts of people with known infections had been traced and tested for the virus. So, this is a very important study again to actually explain things from China there, coming that children are very, very less susceptible to infection. So, 29th April again there was another data analyzed by the Hunan, where they said that the contacts of people with known infections had been traced and tested for the virus. The authors found that for every infected child under the age of 15, there were close to 3 people infected. So, there were around, in the age of 15, there were 3 people for the maximum being infected. So, there was very, very important. Between the ages of 20 and 64, there were 3 people. So, very, very important survey this is. But the data are less conclusive for teenagers aged 15 years or older and suggest that the risk of infection is similar to that of the adults. That is what the Munro study has actually suggested. So, the risk of infection is definitely similar to that of adults. That's what this study is actually explaining to us. So, it actually states and concludes that children are also at risk of getting infected, similar to what adults are actually being affected due to the COVID-19. So, it's very, very important that we take these things into consideration before reopening of schools in India. So, transmission risk, even less well understood, is whether infected children spread the virus in a similar way to adults. That's also a very much important topic to be discussed. A study of a cluster of cases in the French Alps describes one 9-year-old who attended 3 schools and a skiing class while showing symptoms of COVID-19 but did not infect a single person also. Very, very important and interesting study this is. It would be almost unheard of for an adult to be exposed to that many people and not infect anyone else. Another interesting study which actually brings out a lot of questions in our minds. So, Christy Short, a virologist at the University of Queensland in Brisbane, Australia, led an as yet unpublished meta-analysis of several household studies, including some from countries that have not closed schools at the time, such as Singapore. She found that children are rarely the first person to bring the infection into a home. They had the first infected case in only roughly 8% of households. Just imagine, just 8% of households. By comparison, children had the first identified case during outbreaks of H5N1 avian influenza virus in some 50% of households. That's what the study is actually reported. Another interesting fact. So you could see there's both sides here. One is actually saying that they're less infected, they cannot spread. One is saying they can spread the virus. So that's why there are a lot of questions need to be answered. There's a lot of detailed analysis to be done to actually come to a conclusion. So there are many other reports. The household studies are reassuring because even if there are a lot of infected children, they are not getting home and infecting others. That's also an important point, because even though there are a lot of infected children, they are not going home and infecting others. They are actually being in the school. So the spread will be limited. The spread of infection will be limited. That is what if they're in the house, the spread of infection will be limited. You can't actually explain things by keeping them in the home. We actually bring them out and then we can actually see whether it's spreading or not. So another important point to be noted. So, but Wong argues that such research is biased because the households were not randomly selected but picked because there was already a known infected adult there. So it is a very difficult to establish who introduced the virus. Schools and daycare closures could also explain why children are not often the main source of infection with SARS-CoV-2. Other respiratory viruses can transmit from adults to children and so on and so forth. I don't believe this virus is an exception. That's what he says. Because when other viruses are getting transmitted from children to adult and adult to children, why can't this virus do? Because it's actually the similar kind of infection. It's a similar kind of respiratory disease. So definitely there's a lot of scope that children can actually spread this virus. That's what we can actually conclude from this concept. In fact, there are two other more preprints which have reported that children with COVID-19 symptoms can have similar levels of viral RNA to adults. Based on these results, we have to caution against an unlimited reopening of schools and kindergartens in the present situation, and children may be as infectious as adults. So there is a need to have a limited number of reopening of schools so that we can actually limit the things right now. The COVID spread is humongously spreading already. There's a lot of spikes, there's a lot of peaks every day. You could see in the cases worldwide. It could be any country. We're actually seeing the rise of cases day by day, though we are in a worldwide lockdown. If we actually bring back children as an experimentation to the society and reopen the schools, then we can actually be one of the persons to be responsible for spreading infection. That's what is a big problem and needs to be explained in detail by the scientists. And I expect that scientists come up with a proper study on the effect of spread of this virus to various ages during the various age groups, and analysis of the meta-analysis of various survey reports and how this can actually be infected, the mechanism of action of this virus based upon the age groups. We need to study on it, and how can this be stopped. That's what is a very important question, and I hope that things come up and we can actually see a different kind of world post COVID-19. So schools reopening does not mean a return to normal. Another scientist, Short, has actually explained that there will be lots of restrictions and changes, such as moving desks apart and closing playgrounds to reduce the transmission risk. Studies of transmission in schools as they reopen will also be important. That's what Wong says. So researchers in the Netherlands plan to closely monitor things in school and open gradually over the coming weeks. That's what is the news from Netherlands. So how come this immune response is in children? The research happening, and the researchers actually do agree However, the children tend to deal with COVID-19 better than adults. This is a proof. This is a proved fact. The majority of infected children have mild or no symptoms, right? So, but some do get very ill or even die. That's exceptional. There have been many reports of small number of children in London and New York developing an inflammatory response similar to the rare childhood illness of Kawasaki disease. So you could see this inflammatory response is similar to the rare childhood illness of Kawasaki disease. So this is actually a very good proof to actually say that they're actually very much immune and resistant against the COVID-19 infection. I would not be surprised if COVID-19 is associated with Kawasaki disease, because many other viral infections have been associated with it. We have actually linked various diseases, various viral infections with COVID-19. So Kawasaki can also be linked to COVID-19. That's what Wong says. If the association proves to be genuine, it could have been missed in China, Japan and South Korea, because Kawasaki disease is much more prevalent in Asia than compared to China, Japan and South Korea. And there's a lot of extensive research going on in China, Japan and South Korea. So this theories of Wong was actually very much deeply explained about various differences and variations in the study you could see depending on the countries and depending on how important those studies were conducted and how well those studies were conducted related to the COVID-19 spread in the children and the adults. So the major research is going on in China, Japan and South Korea, and they're not related to Kawasaki. So we can't get a link to Kawasaki disease with COVID-19 when you're actually conducting research in China, Japan and South Korea prevalently, because this Kawasaki disease is much more prevalent in the Asia, in the Asian continent. So you can't actually see this prevalent disease connected to COVID-19 with this kind of research going on in China, Japan and South Korea. So that is what Wong actually wanted to explain about. So one theory for why most children have milder symptoms is that children's lungs might contain few or less matured ACE2, the angiotensin converting enzyme 2 receptors. So proteins that the SARS-CoV-2 virus uses to enter cells is this ACE2 receptors. So to confirm this, researchers actually would need to study tissue samples from children, and these are very difficult to get at this point of lockdown. That's a big problem right now we are facing. So others have suggested that children are more routinely exposed to other coronaviruses, and such as those that cause the common cold, which protects them from serious diseases, but that doesn't seem to hold much water, because even newborn babies don't seem to get very severe diseases during this lockdown time from the COVID-19 coronavirus. That is what is actually explaining a lot of things to us. So during this lockdown, you could actually see that doesn't hold this water, hold much water, because even newborn babies don't seem to get very severe disease of COVID-19. So the children and the infants are actually not getting much infected. You could see there are only milder symptoms which are actually attacking this age group. So Wong suggests that the children might mount a more appropriate immune response to the infection, and they're very much strong enough to fight the virus maybe, but not so strong that it cause major damage to the organs. That's why I said mild. So his preliminary analysis of 300 individuals infected with COVID-19 has found that children produce a very low levels of cytokines, proteins, which are released by the immune system. Patients of all ages with severe disease tend to have a higher cytokine levels, but he still needs to tease out the cause and effect, what is actually causing and what is the result happening. And we can only do that if we could find the tissues of the children. We could actually take tissues of children of that age group and try to analyze things in a deeper way. But at this point of time, you can't conduct autopsy, you can't actually bring down cells, and you cannot work in the cell culture. So that's a big problem with this lockdown. Once this lockdown is lifted, we can actually go forward and do a lot more extensive research on COVID-19, so that we can prove something, that the children are not infected, or they cannot spread infection, or they can spread infection. So all these questions we can actually get answers to all these questions once we actually do extensive research on the COVID-19 patients. So, but he also adds that there's a lot of things which actually we need to work. Are they sick because they have high cytokine levels, or do they have higher cytokine levels because they are sicker? You could see the lot of questions which need to be answered. Are cytokine levels actually helping children to be prevented from severe attack of COVID-19, or is it because they are getting sicker, this cytokine levels are increasing? So there are a lot of questions which actually need to be answered, and we hope that this COVID comes down and we actually get to see a decrease in the infection spread, and we hope that this lockdown comes to end and the COVID-19 also gets stopped to be not get spread in this kind of fashion, and is actually going forward with. And I believe that this lockdown will come to end very soon. And this state study, please go through this. I am actually showing the DOI number 2. Go forward and actually read this complete study so that you can actually understand how children are getting affected by the COVID-19. So be healthy. We come to an end to this session. So be healthy, be safe, do follow the rules of lockdown produced by our government of India. And yeah, thank you. I'll see you in the next video. I hope you enjoyed it. Do share with your friends, and please stay tuned for our next videos. Thank you. Bye.